No surprise, the Biden-Sanders welfare bill will increase the deficit by $3 trillion. So let's bring in now Congressman Don Bacon of Nebraska for more on all of this. And I love the sweater, Congressman.
Thank you. Hey, Merry Christmas, and thanks for having me on. And my heart goes out to all those victims and families with the tornadoes.
Absolutely, and a Merry Christmas to you too, sir. All right, so let's break this down. Your reaction to this week's new inflation number, sir?
Well, it's the worst in 39 years. The average worker has lost $175 a month in purchasing power. That is real money for the average American. A lot less groceries that you can put out, a lot lower quality of life. This is having a dire impact. And it was Obama's economic advisor or top economics expert, Larry Summers, that warned this would happen when the Democrats passed the $1.9 trillion COVID bill on a party line vote. And his warnings are coming true.
The president sort of turned off the valve on American oil and gas. Prices went up. There are food shortages. Secretary of Transportation says go buy electric cars if you don't like the gas prices. The White House says the spikes in homicide and crime are about COVID. Have you ever seen this kind of dodging of responsibility like this in Washington?
It gets me sick to my stomach to listen to the spin. And you can just take Afghanistan, for example. All the things that were said that were falsehoods, out and out lies, turned out to be wrong. Just depends on the comment made. I mean, they promised to get every American out, all the interpreters out, that the government would be there for at least 2 years. It was just one inaccuracy or lie after another. And you're right, they're doing the same thing with our energy situation, inflation. They think if they say something that sounds nice, that it gets them out of trouble. But the Americans are seeing through it. That's why his poll numbers are sitting around 41%.
This week, sir, the president was talking about his infrastructure bill. Congressman, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that you voted for the bill. The Democrats are expecting some sort of big bump from this, but so far the poll numbers are not showing that. Isn't this kind of what people expected government to do? I mean, we've been trying to do this for a long time. I don't think it's going to work out for them politically the way that the president seems to think it will.
Yeah, there was statements said that this was going to bail out President Biden, and it has not. I did it because I thought it was right for our country. We haven't really invested in infrastructure in about 40 years. We're falling behind. We spent 2% of our GDP on infrastructure. Canada spends 4%, Europe 5%, China spends 9%. If you want to compete economically, and also this has national security implications as well, you got to invest in infrastructure. And but frankly, this was not a Joe Biden bill to begin with. It was worked on by half Republicans, half Democrats in the House and Senate.
Right.
And even Speaker Pelosi had like zero input into this bill. But yeah, his numbers have not gone up at all. He's sitting around 41%, and that's about where he was at coming out of Afghanistan.
Yeah, you know, I look at what ended up in the bill, and Republicans managed to strip out a lot of the human infrastructure stuff that ended up going into this Build Back Better bill was stripped out of this. You know, free housing, free this, free that. There was a lot, and a lot of Green New Deal stuff was stripped out of it. I tend to think, Congressman, that people expect government to pay for roads and bridges and waterways and dams and tunnels and things like that. So I never expected them to get this bump, but he's sure still trying out there. I want to move on to foreign policy. You're on the Armed Services Committee, and I want to talk about what we should be doing to effectively deter Russia when it comes to Ukraine. Your thoughts on that, Congressman?
Joe Biden right now embodies the opposite of Teddy Roosevelt. He's speaking loudly and he's carrying a little stick. And that's what we're seeing. And he's done that for decades when it comes to Russia. Talks a big story, but in reality, the policies have been weak. I mean, the pipeline in Europe he approved while canceling ours. The reality here is foreign leaders and our adversaries watch what happened in Afghanistan, and they think the president is weak, and they're testing him right now. And our Eastern European allies are gravely concerned. I just posted on my Twitter page a Bloomberg story about how they're enraged by the fact that the president wants them to meet with Russia. And what Russia's going to do, they're either going to invade Ukraine or they're going to demand concessions, NATO concessions and similar things. And why should they get anything for threatening their sovereign neighbors? That's their opinion. That's mine as well. President Biden is being tested right now, big time. And depending on how he handles this Ukraine situation, you're going to see Taiwan next, and maybe the Baltics and Georgia after this.
Congressman, what should he be doing? I mean, if you were there, if you were sitting behind the Resolute desk, what would, because I know you've said talk is cheap, and I agree with you, but what would be, let's see, one thing that you would do to try and deter Putin at this moment in time?
Well, Ukraine needs air defense weapons, and they also need anti-tank weapons. I would be getting weapons there fast. I wouldn't have to. You don't have to say a lot. The Russians will see it. They have their satellites and the capabilities as well.
Sure.
But I would put anti-tank and anti-air weapons and train them to do it. And then we got to unify the world and demand that Russia live by the world's norms. It can't just be the United States. We got to get NATO and the rest of the world focused on Putin and what he's doing. But offering to meet and maybe see if you can accommodate Putin's concerns, that is not the right answer. That's Neville Chamberlain. That is 1938 and 39 with the appeasement policy, and it doesn't work.
I've just got about 45 seconds left for you. Obviously, the CBO came back, and when you strip away all of the fuzzy math and the accounting gimmickry on the Biden-Sanders welfare bill, it doesn't cost zero. It adds $3 trillion to the deficit. I want to get your thoughts before we go, sir.
It was full of budget gimmicks. So I sure hope Senator Manchin holds true. And this bill does not need to pass. It's a terrible bill for America. But it was full of budget gimmicks. They stopped a lot of these programs after 2 years, knowing that they want to extend it beyond 2 and go to 5 or 10 years. They want to be permanent. But by putting it 2 years, they could show a lower cost. But it's baloney. And CBO saw through it. The Americans are seeing through it.
All right. We're going to have to leave it there.
Thank you.
Nebraska Congressman Don Bacon, thanks so much, and a Merry Christmas to you, sir.
Yes, sir. Merry Christmas to you and all your viewers.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.